The first of the impossible things which we're asked to believe is that Islam is a peaceful religion. It's very evidently not. No religion is entirely peaceful, but Islam is especially not peaceful.
Hello everyone, I greet you in the name of God Almighty. My name is Apostle Nathan Salas, and today we have a very interesting video to react to. And then this one was done by Douglas Murray, and then this says that we were forced to believe a lie. Douglas Murray dismantles Islamic after Bishop Mamari was attacked. Wow, Bishop Mamari attacked. Well, that's a very sad one. Very unfortunate that this is truly happening in this very generation. So without any further ado, let's get down to this video and check this out.
Douglas Murray has never been one to shy away from tough conversations. Recently, following the viral attack of an Australian Christian, Bishop Marie Emmanuel, by a radical Muslim in the name of Allah, Douglas Murray's words to the Western world have been echoing in the minds of many. Douglas Murray has long been warning about the dangers of radical Islamic beliefs in the West as a result of alarming mass immigration. He has pointed out many times the incompatibility of Islam with Western values such as free speech, and the recent stabbing of the bishop is a wake-up call of the truth behind his warning. Watch what he had to say.
I'm not an academic or a politician, which may mean precarious things career-wise, but it means at least I don't have to ever be politically correct, and I hope I won't be today. I'm going to take my text from Alice in Wonderland, which is one of the best texts to understand what's happening in Europe at the moment. And you'll all remember the conversation between Alice and the White Queen, when the White Queen tries to urge Alice to practice thinking of impossible things. And Alice says, one can't think of impossible things. And the White Queen says, nonsense. When I was your age, I used to spend at least half an hour a morning thinking impossible things. Why, I used to be able to think of at least 6 impossible things before breakfast. Well, Europeans are expected to think far more than 6 impossible things before breakfast these days, and I could be here all day if I wanted to list all of the impossible things that you and I are expected to believe. But let me just go over 4 of the impossible things which we're meant to believe, and I'll do them as briefly as I can. The first of the impossible things which we're asked to believe is that Islam is a peaceful religion. It's very evidently not. No religion is entirely peaceful, but Islam is especially not peaceful. We are, of course, always reminded that there is a problem of authority within Islam, and that is certainly true. But it also means that the sources matter even more than those of any other religion, because it means that the source is what you have to go on. It means that the source will most likely always trump any organization or any individual who claims to speak for the religion more than the sources. That's why, as the professor said at the beginning, the life of Muhammad is so important if one is going to understand this. And as the professor said, when Muhammad was weak, he was more generous. When he was strong, that generosity palpably, visibly declined somewhat. And we see a similar thing in the world today, and we see a similar thing, I would argue, not only in Islamic societies, but within Islamic communities in European societies. When Islam is in a minority, it speaks a very great deal about minority rights. We cannot help noticing that when Islam is in a majority, or at least in a position to rule, those minority rights go out of the window. Minority rights of sexual minorities, the minority rights of religious minorities, and so on. The problem, which this boils down to, I'll be as brief as possible on it, is that Europeans cannot accept the fact that what ISIS and other terrorists do is very obviously the worst possible interpretation of Islam. It is obviously the worst possible interpretation of Islam for Muslims worldwide, and it is obviously the very worst version of Islam possible for non-Muslims worldwide. Nevertheless, it is a plausible interpretation of the texts in front of them and the tradition from which they come. And if you doubt that, I would urge you to consider one particular source, which if there is an authority within the Muslim world you might turn to, and that is the University of Al-Azhar in Cairo. And I'm very sorry that both the Egyptian ambassador and also our friend from the Fatwa Council are absent now. But if you look at what happened last December, a year ago, a young Jordanian pilot shot down over ISIS-controlled territory. And you'll remember that he was burned alive brutally by the maniacs of ISIS. That young man was a Muslim himself, and the people of ISIS claimed to be acting in the name of Islam as well. Al-Azhar in Cairo had an extraordinary debate about this, one aspect of which was this, that the senior clerics said that what had happened should be punished, that the people who did that and burned that brave young Muslim Jordanian pilot should be punished. They should be punished, incidentally, by either being crucified or by having alternate legs and arms cut off. This was because they had broken the Islamic prohibition on the desecration of a body. You might think that crucifixion somewhat broke that prohibition as well. But they also said, very strikingly, that the thing to bear in mind about ISIS was that they were indeed terrorists, they were indeed extremists, but, quote, not to be described as heretics. Just a couple of days ago, one of very distinguished scholars, graduates of Al-Azhar, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Nasra, gave a televised interview in which he was asked why Al-Azhar is in the habit of denouncing secular thinkers as un-Islamic, but refuses to denounce the Islamic State as un-Islamic. And Sheikh Nasra said, quote, Al-Azhar can't condemn the Islamic State as un-Islamic. The Islamic State is a byproduct of Al-Azhar's programs. So how can Al-Azhar denounce itself as un-Islamic? This, I simply present it as, is a very significant problem. Nevertheless, we are invited to believe the impossible and to believe every day before breakfast that Islam is a religion of peace.
In Douglas Murray's argument, he challenges the widespread assertion that Islam is inherently a religion of peace, pointing to the discord between this claim and the acts of violence committed in Islam's name. Murray's contention is not with the religion as a whole, but with the fact that its most extreme interpretations are causing significant strife and suffering, which cannot be ignored in the name of political correctness. Murray's stance is substantiated by the fact that, according to the Global Terrorism Index, the majority of deaths from terrorism in recent years have occurred in countries with a substantial Muslim population, often as a result of jihadist groups claiming to defend Islamic values. The report highlights that while the majority of Muslims are peaceful, there is a radical fringe that resorts to violence, casting a shadow over Islam's peaceful teachings. Other intellectuals, such as Sam Harris and Aya and Hirsi Ali, have supported similar positions, asserting that although the majority of Muslims live peacefully, the religion itself, like any other, has elements that can be interpreted to justify violence. They argue that acknowledging this does not amount to Islamophobia, but is an honest reflection on the current global security landscape. Furthermore, studies on religious violence suggest that any ideology, including religious doctrines, can be twisted to serve the purposes of those seeking power or seeking to impose their worldview on others. In Europe, this has led to societal and political tensions, with debates on how to reconcile the freedoms of a liberal society with the need to ensure security and prevent radicalization. Murray emphasizes that the unwillingness of some Western politicians and public intellectuals to openly address these issues is often driven by fear of offending, fear of losing political capital, and fear of being labeled intolerant or racist. This silence, he posits, only exacerbates the problem. Douglas Murray has been warning us about this, and we are now seeing it with our own eyes. It will only get worse if we remain silent. We must speak out before it's too late.
That's a very interesting one, listening to this very video, but then I kind of tend to have the same belief as Douglas Murray, because I have always been thinking, and then similar thing, you understand, tend to happen in the northern part of Nigeria. You know, there was a time where the terrorist organizations were actually attacking, you understand, churches that's at the northern part of it. And then when you look at it, then it looks like, okay, fine, it is actually an Islamic agenda. But then as the thing progresses, after some few months time, or should I say a year time, and then these people started attacking, you understand, mosques. And then that began to ring to my head, and then I was asking myself, so what exactly does these people, you understand, mean? I thought that this agenda is basically for Islam. So why are they attacking people, you understand, in the mosques? Why are they attacking, you understand, people, you understand, in the marketplaces that can still be dominated, you understand, by Muslims? And then this comes to the misinterpretation of the Quran, which is the same thing that Douglas, you understand, is actually talking about, of what happened with the pilot, okay, that was shot down before the Eliza or whatever that we are trying to condemn it. Because if you look at it, if these people are actually in a sense fighting for Islam, then why did you have to take a life of another Muslim? So if you do so, are you sure it is really, you understand, for the Muslim, just like how they see? So to me, I just feels like, you understand, these terrorist organizations just decide to commit, you understand, some sort of atrocities in the name of Islam, and then Muslims in the other way around, instead of condemning some of the activities of what these people, you understand, are doing, and then some of them will feel like since they says that they are doing in the form of Islam, and then they went on to be supporting some of these things, and some of them are just supporting them out blindly without actually understanding the agenda of what these people are actually fighting for. These are pure terrorists. These people are not Muslim, because if we are to follow it just like how, in a sense, Islam is all about, if Islam is a religion of peace, just like how, in a sense, it's been explained in the Quran, then why going on, in a sense, to kill another Muslim? Do you get the point? So from there you got to realize that these people that we are talking about, what they are just what terrorists, and not, in a sense, representing, in a sense, Islam, just like how they see. You see, because of, you understand, the activities of some of the few of them now makes the whole religion becomes what questionable, and that's why I see people begin to say that, is Islam truly a religion of peace? And that's why I see Douglas was saying that what people were made what to believe, in a sense, a lie, because you cannot be saying that, you understand, the religion is peaceful, and then some of the sect of the people will went on, in a sense, to be killing innocent people. All I can always say is that to the scholars and to Mufti Mek, to Khalid Yassin, to Suleiman Omar, and many of them, at least if you go about, understand, organizing your programs, at least try to encourage some of the imams for them to interpret the Quran just like how it's supposed to be. We the Christians, in a sense, we are also doing our best to interpret, in a sense, the Bible, so that it's not in such a way that some of those things do not make people, in a sense, to be causing violence, in a sense, in the communities. Because if you look at it, somebody went on to get the Quran, and then I do not know how they do certify people, in a sense, to be able to be make this type of, in a sense, interpretation, and then before you know it, somebody will go and interpret, in a sense, the Quran wrongly, and then went on, in a sense, killing people. You see, and then immediately they do it, and then they will be like they are doing it in the name of what? For Islam, which is very wrong. So I do not know how the Islam or the Muslim, you understand, are doing it, but then I think that there's a way that there should be an reorientation, you understand, of the people or of the scholars, so that at least when they are going about, you understand, doing their interpretation, at least they should give the people, you understand, the right interpretation they are supposed to be doing. Of course, I may not see that this is too late, but then I know that, of course, biology have a way of taking care of us. So in the other way around, it means that to the children who are coming up, and then to some of the respective scholars, whatever that you are saying to the children, at least give them the right interpretation. Or if, as a matter of fact, if possible, try to avoid, understand, teaching them about some of the passages or some of those things that will may encourage, understand, violence and all those things, okay, so that we can all be what? Believing, understand, in peace and harmony with one another. Because of this kind of misinterpretation, it has caused a lot of people to lose their lives. It's not really about, understand, whether you are Muslim or you are a Christian or you are a Jew. Because of misinterpretation, a lot of people have lost their life, including Muslims, and a lot of Muslims have actually lost their life in the hands of all these terrorist organizations. And then all these things, in a sense, is not helping matters, which means that what we have to be given the right interpretation, so that the Islam will mean peaceful, just like how originally it's supposed to be. So I know that a lot of you have thought an opinion concerning this, and I want you to drop it at the comment section, and may God bless you as you do so. So this is the end of my video. If you like my reaction, you should like, share, and subscribe. If you have any video you want me to react to, don't forget to drop it at the comment section, and I'm going to check it out. So guys, you remain blessed, and I see you in my next video. Bye bye.